Hi everyone, welcome to Difference Frames the World, a channel to find a real China. In today's China on the World video, we want to share China's perspectives on world affairs, based on Wang Wenbin's remarks on June 29, 2021. CCTV raised a question on the video conference between President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two heads of state issued a joint statement, officially deciding to extend the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation. How do you think about this meeting? What's your expectation of China and Russia relations looking ahead? Wang Wenbin replied, "The meeting is the second virtual interaction between President Xi and President Putin since the beginning of this year. The two national leaders affirmed the vital significance of the Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation between China and Russia, and officially decided to extend it." President Putin expressed warm congratulations on the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. The two sides made top-level designs on practical cooperation in various fields. They held an in-depth exchange of views on major international issues of common concern, reaching a crucial new consensus. Head of state guidance is the most fundamental guarantee for the steady and sustained development of China-Russia relations. Under the strategic guidance of President Xi and President Putin, the China-Russia relations for a new era stand at their historical best. And based on strong political mutual trust, mutual understanding, and traditional friendship between the two peoples have deepened. Following the principle of win-win cooperation, the two sides accommodate each other's interests and concerns. They have fruitful cooperation in high-tech, space, aviation and nuclear energy, which has given a solid boost to development and rejuvenation in both countries and significantly improved people's well-being. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the signing of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation. Our two countries are committed to developing a comprehensive strategic partnership of coordination with everlasting friendship. The past 2 decades are just the prologue. We are convinced that good neighborliness and friendship are the mainstream public opinion in both countries, and mutual benefit represents the consistent direction of bilateral cooperation. Guided by the two heads of state and the treaty's spirit, China-Russia relations and bilateral cooperation in various sectors will see more significant progress and deliver more outcomes, contributing to fostering a new type of international relations and a community with a community-shared future for mankind. Reuters asked the spokesman about the remarks of Japan's Deputy Defense Minister on Monday of the growing threat posed by Chinese and Russian collaboration, saying it was necessary to wake up to Beijing's pressure on Taiwan and protect the island as a democratic country. What's the ministry's comment on this? Wang Wenbin answered, "China deplores the senior Japanese government officials' erroneous remarks and lodges solemn representations with the Japanese side. Regarding China's peaceful development, some Japanese politicians unjustifiably point fingers at China's socio-economic development and ordinary national defense building. They portray China as a threat and openly stoke big power confrontation with the sinister motive to find excuses to break free from the military restrictions imposed on Japan over crimes of aggression committed by the Japanese militarism in history. This is highly irresponsible and dangerous." The politician in question flagrantly refers to Taiwan as a country, on multiple occasions, severely violating principles set out in the 4 political documents, including the China-Japan Joint Statement and its solemn and repeated commitment of not seeing Taiwan as a country. "We ask Japan to make crystal clarification and ensure that such things won't happen again. There is but one China globally, and Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's sacred territory." The Taiwan question bears on the political foundation of China-Japan relations, the essential trust and good faith between the two countries, and the international rule of law and justice. "We seriously urge the Japanese side to earnestly honor its commitment, be prudent in words and actions, avoid undermining China's sovereignty in any form, and refrain from sending any wrong signal to the Taiwan independence forces. I would like to stress that China's will and determination to safeguard national sovereignty, security, and unity are unshakable. China must and will be reunified. This is an unstoppable historical trend." Macau Monthly asked Wang Wenbin, "It is reported that on June 28, Michael McCaul, the Republican lawmaker on the Foreign Affairs Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives, said through his spokesperson that he opposed the Ensuring American Global Leadership and Engagement Act to be reviewed this Wednesday, which means the committee will likely advance the bill this week with only Democratic support. The Ensuring American Global Leadership and Engagement Act was adopted by the U.S. Senate on June 8 to boost the country's ability to compete with China in science and technology. What is China's comment? Wang Wenbin replied, China has expressed its solemn positions on a relevant act passed by the U.S. Congress. The bill disregards facts, plays up the strategic competition with China, slanders and smears China's development path and domestic and foreign policies, and interferes with China's internal affairs and undermines China's interests regarding China's sovereignty, territorial integrity. China firmly opposes that and will steadfastly safeguard its interests. How the U.S. develops and enhances its own competitiveness is its own business. However, the U.S. should not make an issue out of China, nor should it view China as an imaginary enemy. The worst enemy of the U.S. is itself. What the U.S. lawmakers should focus on is to get their own house in order. The Chinese side urges relevant U.S. legislators to abandon zero-sum mentality and ideological prejudice, stop conducting political manipulation of China-related issues, cease reviewing and advancing applicable China-related hostile acts, and delete relevant negative clauses. They should promote China and U.S. relations and mutual trust and cooperation to create favorable conditions for bilateral cooperation in critical areas. Reuters asked the spokesman regarding the failure of Australia to file a formal complaint to the World Trade Organization over China's duties on bottled wine imports, which WTO confirmed on Monday. The WTO gives both sides 60 days to confer on the subject. What's China's stance on resolving this conflict, and does China expect a formal dispute panel to be set up? Wang Wenbin responded, I'll refer you to the relevant authorities. I would just like to reiterate that China abides by WTO rules and handles matters accordingly. Xinhua news agency raised a question regarding an academic report by an Italian scholar of international relations. The report said that he saw with his own eyes in Xinjiang the utmost religious freedom enjoyed by ethnic minority groups, including Uyghurs, and found no sign of the so-called allegations of forced labor and genocide. He pointed out that Western accusations on Xinjiang are unfounded. Does China have any comment on this? Wang Wenbin answered, I have also noted this academic report written by independent researchers and signed by dozens of world-renowned academics, political figures and journalists. Fabio Massimo Palandi, the Italian scholar of international relations who authored the report, said that some Western think tanks, scholars and media have invented false statements and accusations on Xinjiang, causing a severe negative impact. These individuals and institutions are openly anti-China. Their false reports were packaged as independent reports, based on which some Western governments imposed groundless sanctions on Xinjiang. Their purpose is not to protect human rights in Xinjiang, but to suppress and contain China. For this reason, he and other scholars decided to write a report as objective and independent as possible to help the world see how Xinjiang was once plagued by terrorism and separatism. Also, they want to show the world how the Chinese government adopted highly effective counterterrorism and de-radicalization measures based on rule and law, respect for human rights, and protection of the lawful rights and interests of those concerned. Apart from this report, I've also noted a recent article by Tom Foudy, a British political and international relations analyst, which laid bare the hypocrisy of Western countries and media in their attitude towards the treatment of Muslims. On the one hand, they show no remorse for the crimes committed by the U.S. and its allies in the Islamic world over many years. On the other, they keep wantonly accusing China of the so-called human rights abuses in Xinjiang and hyping up the matter. They even attempt to entice Islamic countries into criticizing China. Such a double standard is absurd and unreliable. I'd like to stress that facts speak louder than words. The lies on Xinjiang fabricated by a few will eventually be exposed by the truth and reality of Xinjiang's rapid social and economic development and harmonious coexistence of people of all ethnic groups. As the press conference is quite long, so we broke it into two parts. This is part 1, and we will upload part 2 later today. Thank you so much for your time on this video. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and share them with people you know. We publish videos daily and post long videos on topics viewers are interested in once or twice a week. If you have anything you want to share with us, please leave your comments below.